I just wanted to say before I start this video that this is all opinion based. So if you don't like this list, if you don't like this tier list, then it is what it is. Everybody's tier list is going to be different. Every YouTuber is going to have a different tier list, a different opinion about what heroes that they feel that are stronger than others. So if you feel like I made a wrong decision of putting a character in a certain tier, then he should be or she should be, then you can always leave a comment below and tell me what you would change around in this tier list, what opinions you think is wrong, what opinions you think are right, etc. Things like that. It's just a fun video for me to make and basically talk about my opinion of what I think. So you can always disagree. Everybody's got their own opinions. So yeah, I hope you still enjoy this video. So I have the S plus and the S. S plus is like really, really good. And then of course S is really good pick. And then it just goes down all the way to D, which is just really bad. So let's start with Hanzo. I'll start with the DPS. If you're really good with Hanzo, you can carry games solo-handed. It's pretty insane, and I would put him as S+. A lot of people would say he's just an S character. He's not an S+, because he does have counters like Pharah, Mercy, Flying Heroes, things like that. But I still feel like he's S+, just because you can put so much pressure onto that tank. You can kill the shield if it's like a Reinhardt, a Sigma, or a Ramattra with the storm arrows. And also you can shoot storm arrows in one direction, like a corridor, like a hallway basically. You just keep shooting in one direction and people literally walk into your arrows. Or you just shoot regular arrows and people walk into your arrows and die all the time. Especially with a Sonic, it's pretty insane. And that's why I put him as S+, because he's such a good hero for picking people off. As soon as you get that pick off, you basically win the round. So even though you can't really one-shot headshot anybody anymore, his projectile size is pretty insane. And also I wanted to talk about that. If you go back into the patch notes, which there was recently a new patch note that made his base projectile sizes reduced from 0.1 to 0.075 meters. So he got a little bit of a nerf, but still, he's still insane. In my opinion, I still think he's an S+ character, just because if you get really good at Hanzo, you can definitely dominate the game. Tracer is another S+ hero, I would say, for DPS. Nowadays, she's insane. I think the newest patch was the minimum fall off range reduced from 12 to 10. So she's going to be a little bit weaker because you can't kill people far away as much anymore. She's going to be a little bit weaker because her fall off is going to be greater. So her pistol is not going to do that much damage while they're far away. But she's still an S+ tier character, just because you can get in there, get out, you can recall a bunch, and just mess with the enemy team, as long as you're really good at tracking and aim. And that's with all the DPS, of course. If you're good at tracking and the aim, then you can do devastating amounts of damage. And also with her pulse bomb. Her pulse bomb is a single pick target, unless they jump into their teammates, and then you can get a big pulse bomb. But if you can stick one character like a Mercy, that's a game changer, and you literally win the round just because of that stick on Mercy or another support hero. So she is definitely insane, and I would definitely put her in S+ tier. I feel like she's a must pick for DPS heroes. Even after this little tiny nerf to her, I still think she's an insane pick. I feel like Genji would definitely be a tier character just because of how he is right now. I feel like he's on the weaker side. His Dragon Blade doesn't do as much damage just because everybody's got so much health now, right? So his recovery time is really fast. So you can swing faster with the Dragon Blade. That's good for low HP targets. But when are people actually low HP in this game anymore, you know? They have so much health. His dash does a decent amount of damage still. Just his character overall, you have to play him very, very hard to get kills, kind of like Tracer, but it's even harder with Genji because he gets countered by so many things now, and so many heroes have so much HP now that it's so hard to kill anybody with the blade. I feel like Genji is going to be in the A tier. He's all right. If you pick him, be ready to really try hard. He's a little on the weaker side right now, and I hope he gets a buff. Widow is in an interesting spot as well, since she did get some buffs and some nerfs. So now it uses the smaller 0.0 meter hit scan projectile size modifier. Total projectile size is now 0.05 meters. So her projectile size is going to be smaller, of course. So it's going to be harder to hit those headshots. But also at the same time, her scoped shot damage fall off min to max range increase from 40 to 60 to 50 to 70 meters, so you can do more damage while they are far away, and that's good. She's a sniper, she deserves that, right? So even though it's harder to hit your headshots, I still feel like she's an insane hero to play, and I feel like she's an S hero. Honestly, a lot of people will disagree with this one just because she'll get dived a lot, and she's really like, you know, only good on certain maps. But those certain maps that she's really good on, she can literally carry the whole game by herself. If you're that good on Widow, Like when I get on Widow sometimes, I have my moments where I'm popping off, and that's with any hero, obviously. But when you're having your moments with Widow, especially, you're not getting contested as much. You can control the whole game just by yourself, as long as you keep getting picks and keep putting a bunch of pressure on the enemy. Especially if your team helps you out a ton, then you can of course just keep shredding the entire game. Now she's not an S+ just because she's very situational, right? Like I said, sometimes if she gets doved a lot, then she just gets out of the game and she can't really do anything, even if her teammates help. Then again, if she doesn't, and if she gets in these spots where the enemy doesn't see her and she gets a quick pick, then she wins the whole round for your team. Or she just keeps putting some headshot damage on everybody. Even though they have a lot of health now, she gets a good headshot on somebody, she's making them one hit. That means your team dive in, or your team just rush in and kill that person that's one hit or that's low HP. She can just put a bunch of pressure on everybody. Even against a tracer, she could still headshot the tracer. I feel like she's in a really good spot right now. She's not the greatest, but she's getting up there, you know, in my opinion. Of course, you can make a lot of plays with her. And also her ultimate sights is really good. It makes the team not want to peek at all, and that's makes it so that your team can push and advance onto point or advance onto wherever you're advancing on, like an enemy. It would make them not peek, so it'll make them stay around corners, basically give up their positioning, right? So you can get more control of the map. Next is Sojourn. So Sojourn is a insane hero. I feel like her one-shotting capability with her railgun is still insane. She's not the greatest like Hanzo and Tracer would be, in my opinion, just because she can't get those random lucky one-shots. She has a railgun, and that only does a certain amount of damage. You know, she can still do a lot of damage. She still has a problem with getting consistent damage. That's why I put Hanzo above her, just because he can do way more consistent damage with his arrows. You really do think about it. You can literally get some lucky damage with Hanzo, and anyone you hit with Hanzo is definitely going to get hurt a lot with his arrows if it's all the way drawn back. And that's why I kind of put Sojourn right here with the S tier, just because she's really good. She does damage nonstop. She has a railgun. She has her ultimate. Her ultimate pretty good, and she can get away from positions with her side a lot. She's still really good, so I would put her in S tier. Now next is Mei. Mei, I feel like she belongs in the B tier just because she's very situational. Her Blizzard doesn't really do that much because everybody's out healing her. There's usually a Lucio on the team now, so they can just speed out of her Blizzard. She's very situational, where if there's like a Ramattra, like a Reinhardt just pushing in too far, you can switch to Mei real quick, wall him off and kill him, dive him real quick. You can just wall off people a bunch. But other than that, she does stay alive a long time, but I still feel like she's pretty weak in this meta at the moment. So that's why she belongs to the B tier. Some people are going to disagree with me on these, but I feel like McCree and Ashe are in the same spot with Genji. I feel like they are really good as hit scan and for flying heroes, but realistically they don't do that much damage unless your shot is pinpoint on point, and they can get rushed down quite a lot. So usually people run dive now. So if you get dove by half the enemy team, you're kind of screwed as McCree and Ashe, and it's very hard to get out of that situation. McCree only has a roll, and Ashe only has a knockback ability basically to jump back with her shotgun. It's very hard to get kills unless they are going against like a Pharah and an Echo. Then it's pretty easy, you know, you're going against two flying heroes, so you can just shoot them out of the sky and make them switch heroes. But then again, like I said, they're very hard to get out of certain situations, and since everybody has a lot more HP, you're just gonna get doved a lot, mainly just get kicked out of the game. So that's why I kind of put them with Genji. They're alright, they're not the greatest, but they're alright. You could still play them pretty good. Soldier 76, I would kind of put in the same spot as well in the A tier. He's pretty good. Same thing. He has sprint, but you still get doved on. So everybody has so much HP now. You can constant damage with Soldier 76, but at the same time, he doesn't have one-shotting capabilities like a soldier would have a one-shotting capability if someone is lower HP than they should be. If they're like below half railgun charge, then you can take them out. But Soldier 76 doesn't really have that. He has a Helix rocket. He has sprint. He does constant damage, but then again, he's not that good to get into the S or the S+ tier, just because of the fact that he's kind of like Ashe, McCree, and Genji. He does a lot of damage, but at the same time, you're not doing much after that. You know, you're not getting those kills instantly like a Widow would or like a Hanzo would, you know, getting in there and one-clipping people like a Tracer would if someone's low HP. So he's very situational. He doesn't have that much mobility to be put into the other tiers, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to put Sombra in the S tier. Sombra is actually pretty nuts. You can just hack anybody that's diving your team and just shred them with her other ability where she shoots the hack at them and burn them down. She's a very good hero, just like Tracer, Widow, Hanzo is. She doesn't have that much damage and one-shotting capability as the Hanzo and the Tracer. That's why she's not being put up in those tiers, but she's still pretty insane. She has EMP. She has a lot of abilities to shred a single target, right? And hack the enemy team. So disables abilities a lot, so can definitely go against a Soldier 76, hack him real quick, and he's basically screwed. He can't sprint, right? You break his legs. But other than that, she kind of just stays with the Widow Sojourn just because she has a lot of damage, but not as much picking damage I guess you would say, as Tracer or Hanzo. I feel like Tracer and Hanzo can get a lot more picks, and they can be a lot more mobile than her. I feel like as soon as she's spotted, she just gets shredded, because even if her TP away, it doesn't go that far. It's very hard to get out of that situation after she has been spotted and been damaged a little bit. So that's why she kind of deserves this tier. Just same thing as Widow, same thing as Soldier. It's kind of hard to get away. You would say Hanzo is hard to get away as well, but he can get a way higher pick rate than the Sombra. And when I say pick rate, as in the random one shots, as in making people low HP, getting to high places, and contesting other heroes, with also, you know, doing a bunch of damage to them way easier than Sombra can with her SMG. Now, one of the heroes that I think is really bad at the moment, but he did get a patch, which is Junkrat. To his concussion mine, cooldown decrease from 8 to 7 seconds. So that's good. Maximum damage increase from 110 to 120, and minimum damage increase from 20 to 55. So he's going to be a little bit better. He got a little bit of buff, but at the same time, right now, as I see it, he's probably going to be D tier. He could move up to C tier after this buff. I just haven't played as much. I'm just doing this off of kind of the last patch. But since he got that buff right there, he could be in the C tier. So he's kind of between C and D. He may be even better than C. He may be a B if that buff is that good as it says. It looks like it's pretty good. But he's still going to be in D tier, just in my opinion. He doesn't do that much. He's a character that you pick randomly, and that you just get in there and you're trying to win the game randomly, and maybe the enemies are just stuck in a corridor or something, and you just use your mind. Like, he just gets ran down so much by other heroes and gets killed by so much by other heroes like Hanzo, Tracer, Widow, you know, Soldier and Sombra. He just gets shredded by everybody basically. So that's why he's in the D tier. And his rip tires are right, but everybody's got so much health now, usually they live through it. There's like another support there or something like that. I have not seen that many Symmetras around, and I have not played the Symmetra that much, but I still feel like she's a C tier. I feel like she would be very strong, obviously up close range, and there's so many shields now that she can really provide a lot of damage off those shields, off her beam once it's fully charged. So I feel like she's at C tier, a little bit better than Junkrat, just because she's got the teleporter, and also she's got that ultimate, right? So it helps out her team a bunch with the shield. But other than that, she kind of deserves a C tier because she can't really do much other than that. She has her turrets. Turrets are alright, but other than that, she's definitely C tier in my opinion. Not really much to talk about her. Just haven't seen her really at all. Really, I've seen maybe one Symmetra, and she was alright. That's why she's kind of belongs down here. Junkrat is definitely worse than her in my opinion. I would rather have a Symmetra than a Junkrat. Pharah, I feel like Pharah is in the B tier with Mei. She does a lot of damage, but she gets outclassed by all the hit scan up here. So if you think about it, a Widow, a Hanzo, even a Hanzo, because of his arrows, he can still do insane damage with the storm arrows if he's close enough. A Soldier and one hitting with the rail guns, you know, a Sombra, McCree, Ashe, Soldier 76, all these hit scan just go right against her. Feel like she just gets blasted out of the air. As soon as you get a hit scan on the enemy team and you go Pharah, it's going to be very hard for you to do basically anything and have any flight in the air. So you mainly have to stay on the ground, and that's defeating your whole character's purpose. So she's very hard to play at the moment until she gets a buff. I feel like Bastion is in the B tier. Actually, same thing as Pharah. He's kind of, you get in there, you go in your turret form, and after your turret form, it's basically over for you. You can't really do much after that. You can do a lot of pressure on like Widowmakers just because of his rifle now, where you can just dink him over and over again, headshot him, and shoot your little grenade launcher at the Widowmaker or the other DPS. Other than that, you get shredded, you get jumped on by a Tracer, you get shot down by a Hanzo. Basically over with. Your artillery mode, which is your ultimate ability, doesn't do that much. You really have to precisely hit somebody with those, and I feel like that still needs a buff to this day, in my opinion. But other than that, he definitely deserves a B tier. After all of that, he's not as bad as Symmetra or Junkrat in my opinion, just because he has a lot more hit scan capabilities, you know, shield shredding capabilities like his turret mode. If you have a Mercy Pocket on your team, he's pretty insane once you go in turret form, but other than that, he gets just mowed down by everybody else. Next is Reaper. I feel like Reaper definitely deserves a tier. He's kind of like the other hit scan. At first, people thought he was super good. He does have a really high surviving rate, and he's pretty insane, but his ultimate is really bad at the moment. Doesn't kill basically anybody unless they are by themselves or they're already low HP. So his ultimate is kind of sketchy, but his shotguns are pretty insane for shredding tanks. So if you want to get a good shredding tank hero, that's definitely Reaper. But he does get outclassed by the Soldier, the Sombra, Widow, Tracer, and obviously Hanzo. He's a very easy target to kill as Hanzo and as these other heroes, just because he's got a very low mobility rate, right? You can't really get around the map as fast as them and do like wall climbing as them or grapple away. You know, Widow can just stay far away. Soldier and can just stay far away. Same with Sombra, can hack him. There's a lot of things that goes wrong with Reaper, but then again, Reaper is really good against tanks, so he can work in certain situations, just like any other hero can. Torb definitely goes in the B tier. It's Torb. You can do your ultimate. Your ultimates are right for, you know, getting people off of points. But then again, he kind of belongs in this spot right here. Can do a lot of damage if you get some decent headshot dinks with his left click, and his shotgun is really good for getting close range while you're doing your overdrive mode, basically getting on people's faces with your E, and you know, you're getting that little bit of armor and everything like that. But I feel like he belongs in B because he's not used as much. Used in certain situations where you just need a random turn on the point or on the map to throw off the enemy. You just pick them randomly when, you know, they're not expecting it. Other than that, he definitely belongs into the B tier. And last but not least is Echo. Echo, C tier. She's as good as Symmetra, in my opinion. She's not as good as Junkrat. She's not as good as Symmetra. She's not as good as Pharah, because Pharah has that new ability, and also she just does more damage, even though she's kind of weaker at the moment, but she still does more damage than Echo. Echo is very not good right now. She definitely needs a buff, in my opinion. Her ultimate, copy somebody, you know, that's good and all, but other than that, she's not really doing much the whole rest of the game. She just gets countered by a Widow or a Soldrin and all these heroes above her. So she's definitely in the C tier. Let's move on to tanks. First off, let's get my boy in Hammond. Hammond, in my opinion, is a S+ tank. Or tanks, Hammond is the one to pick. A lot of people would disagree with this and put him down to S, you know, and not a S+ hero. But I feel like as in the tank genre, that's what I'm going off of. If you're playing tanks and the best hero to play in tanks, I would think is Hammond. Hammond, you get in there, you get out, and you have so much health, you can barely die half the game. Especially when you're going against a Hanzo, a Tracer, you know, a Widowmaker, things like this. You can dive these heroes. You can dive Hanzo, you can dive Widow, you can dive Soldrin, you can dive all these heroes. You can get hacked from Sombra. But then again, Sombra still, you can still go on Hammond and still outlive the Sombra's damage, of course. Hammond is just an insane tank at the moment, and I feel like going to be pretty insane for the rest of the time being. Next, Reinhardt. Let's just throw Reinhardt in the toll bowl. Reinhardt is awful. So if you want to play Reinhardt, good luck. You know, good luck playing Reinhardt in this meta. Reinhardt just gets shredded. His shield gets broken so fast. There's some Reinhardt players that are very aggressive and they try to win in this meta, but I feel like Reinhardt is really not good at the moment. I feel like his shatter is basically useless. Everybody can get away from his shatter and get out of it. You have to be very lucky to hit anybody with his shatter now, just because everybody can get out of there because they usually have a Lucio on their team. And man, Reinhardt is just, oh man, what did they do to my boy Ryan? But yeah, he's terrible. His flame strikes are awful. Doesn't do anything really. And yeah, he's very bad at the moment. So Orisa, I feel like she belongs in the B tier. She's not that good, you know. She used to be way better. You go on Orisa, you counter like Reinhardt and things like that, but now Reinhardt is kind of trash. Now Orisa is kind of falling down to Reinhardt's standard, but she's still better than Reinhardt. She can overtake Reinhardt. She can sometimes overtake a Sigma if played right, but she needs a lot more healing, and she's just a big target now that she just gets shredded all the time. Her ultimate is not that good now because everybody's got so much more HP, so they usually outlive her ultimate even almost at full charge. So you just, you know, she's not that good at the moment. Her javelin pretty good for targets that need to be hit away and discombobulated, basically just messed up a little bit. But other than that, you have to be really aggressive with her to basically do anything on Orisa. That's why she gets a B tier. Now Maga, he belongs right in the C tier where I think he is. He's almost as bad as Reinhardt, but not as bad as Reinhardt. He's very, I don't like playing Maga. When I play tank, I don't ever play Maga. I almost put him in the D tier, but he's just not as bad as Reinhardt. He's still got some capability, still got some surviving like Orisa, but still worse than Orisa in my opinion. He doesn't have like a javelin, you know, he can rush in there, stomp people, but doesn't do anything, basically stuns them a little bit, and that's it. His ultimate is meh, so that's where he belongs. Nothing really else to say about Maga. It's just he's a C type character. Roadhog, as much as I love Roadhog and love playing Roadhog, he's, you know, with Orisa in my opinion. He does get shredded a lot, but he has a high pick rate. You know, he can get picks pretty good by hooking people. As long as you get hooks, you're pretty good as Roadhog. I almost put him down to Maga tier, but he's not as bad as Maga in my opinion. I feel like he's right here. He's kind of like, he's in the middle, you know, he's kind of meh. He's pretty bad, but he's pretty decent at the same time if you can land hook and land a good mine. As long as you land hooks on people, then you're doing good. If you don't land any hooks and you're missing hooks or there's a shield in front of you, you're screwed. So, and he gets shredded pretty fast, and also he doesn't really help his team that much. So in this class right here, I would say in my opinion, just like right here, not as bad, but just like right here. Winston, I feel like Winston's right here in A tier. He usually gets shredded by everybody, but then again, he has a lot more HP now. He does jump in. He does do a lot of damage. Everybody's running dive mostly now, so he does go after the Widows, the Tracers, McCrees, you know, people that can't move and that have that much high mobility. But then again, he gets shredded by the Reaper and other DPS. So I feel like he's right here. He's not the greatest like Hammond, of course, but he can still get in with the support of his team. And I feel like he's still better than Roadhog, Orisa, Maga, and Reinhardt all combined, I feel like he's still better than all of them. I feel like he's still a sticky target on the playing field, and he can definitely go after like Widows and Hanzo. So he's really good to have on your team. But then again, he's not that good like him. Next is Diva. I feel like Diva belongs in the S tier. A lot of people will disagree with that, where she belongs in the A tier maybe, or maybe even lower than that. But I feel like she definitely belongs in the S tier. If you can play Diva, she has a really high mobility rate where she can get up to the high places and definitely get out of there way faster than Winston, way faster than any of these tanks below here. Not as fast as Hamid, but she has a good surviving rate as well. With the Matrix in her guns has the unlimited bullets, so she never has to reload or anything like that, so she can just keep putting pressure on the enemy constantly, even though she doesn't do that much damage. Honestly, I feel like she's really good. She can boot people away while she flies around and boop, so she can like fly in, boop them a little bit while she's shooting and shooting her rockets, and then turn around, fly back into her team, and then Matrix. She's really good as in delaying the damage, way more than Reinhardt, Maga, you know, Roadhog, and all these other tanks. I feel like she's in a really good spot, and I feel like she's getting slept on. Her ultimate is pretty good as well for displacing enemies a ton. You can just randomly shoot your ultimate somewhere, and it'll randomly get a kill most of the time, just because everybody's all combobulated, right? So I feel like she definitely deserves S tier. A lot of people would put her lower than that, but in my opinion, she deserves the S tier, and I love playing her. She's really fun to play. She's pretty easy for me. Now we got Zarya. Zarya is, her grav is good, but her bubbles, she's alright, but she has like no mobility. So I'm definitely gonna have to put her under Roadhog. Honestly, I feel like Roadhog has a better pick rate, you know, but you know, obviously Zarya versus Roadhog, Zarya kind of counters Roadhog a little bit, but at the same time, I feel like Zarya is pretty bad at the moment. You know, the bubbles don't do that much. Her charge, she's really got to run up to somebody and beam them real hard to get a kill. A pretty hard character to play now, which is very surprising because before she wasn't that hard to play. She's Zarya. She used to be OP, but nowadays it's mainly her grav. It's just her grav ultimate is the best ability that she has. Of course, it's the ultimate. I feel like the grav ability is the only reason why you would pick Zarya. Other than getting a grav, she doesn't do that much on the playing field. You know, her bubbles don't last that long. Everybody has a lot more HP, so if she doesn't get charged, doesn't get her bubbles shot at, then she's basically useless, a walking tank doing nothing, you know. So that's why I definitely put her down the C tier. She's not as bad as Reinhardt, but she's definitely down there. She's not as good as Roadhog in my opinion, or Orisa. I feel like Orisa and Roadhog have more mobility and they can do a lot more things, you know. Zarya can bubble people, and if her bubbles don't get charged, she's screwed in this meta. You know, she's basically done. And a lot of people don't shoot bubbles anymore, so you just got to be careful with that. So she's definitely down here in my opinion. Next is Junker Queen, kind of same thing as Zarya. You know, she may counter like a Roadhog at times, but then again, you know, she's not that good. Her really the only thing, kind of like Zarya, her only thing that she really does a lot of damage with is her ultimate ability. And other than her ultimate ability and anti-ing everybody, she's really good at, she doesn't, you know, she can't get to high ground that fast because she just has no mobility for that. You know, she can't hook anybody like Roadhog. She can't like hook somebody off of high ground and get them off the high ground. She can't javelin anybody off of high ground, you know, like Orisa's got. She can't really do much. She can try to throw her knife and luckily hit somebody to pull them in. But other than that, she just gets focused so hard and gets shredded, kind of like Orisa. Orisa and Junker Queen are kind of in the same spot, but then again, Orisa has a little bit more damage capability than Junker Queen, and definitely stays alive a little bit longer. So that's why she's kind of in the C tier. Junker Queen is not that good now, and she shouldn't really be played that much. In only certain situations where maybe there's a Reinhardt on the enemy team, then you go Junker Queen. Maybe there's a Roadhog enemy team, then you go Junker Queen. You can run into the Roadhog a bunch and basically shred him down. But other than that, it's very situational. I feel like Orisa would just dominate over a Junker Queen because she could just keep javelin her, you know, put the armor up, things like that, push her away, just annoy the heck out of her, and that's why she's kind of in the C tier. Sigma, I was going to put Sigma in the S tier, but I feel like Sigma does get overran a lot, and he can't really do much if there's divey tanks all around, so I would definitely put him in the A class tier. He is good, but then again, he's not as good as Diva in my opinion, where you can't really dive people and you can't really certain spots where everybody's running around with, like, you know, Hanzo on top of buildings and stuff. He can throw rocks and throw his balls, but other than that, you're not doing much. His shield, very versatile, very good. But then again, if your team is running a divey team, what are you going to do with your team, you know, nowadays? You know, so I feel like Sigma, he's good. He belongs in A tier. He's kind of in the middle. He's still good. You know, don't get me wrong. He's not bad like Junker Queen or Zarya or Maga or Reyna's, but, you know, he's in the middle with Winston, in my opinion. In his ultimate, it's good. Can get people off high ground, but it's very situational. It doesn't kill people that much. It really doesn't. You have to do a lot of damage to somebody while they are in his ultimate to even kill them, because there's so much healing now. Ramattra, I feel like Ramatra's stuck with Roadhog. Not as good as Winston or Sigma is, but it's kind of stuck where if he gets a good amount of heals, he can stay on the board. He does have the shield. He does have the punching ability. But other than that, You know, I feel like he's with Roadhog and with Orisa where he doesn't do as much as he should be doing. His ultimate is like the best part of him, of course, but other than that, he doesn't do that much, and that's why he's kind of in the B tier. Now, my boy Doomfist. Doomfist is an A. You know, not as good as D.Va in my opinion. You know, he can counter D.Va though. He can punch her around and stuff. But other than that, I feel like he's A tier. If your team runs dive, you can shred with Doomfist, you know, of course. But at the same time, he leaves his team to dry. He doesn't help out his team as much as a D.Va would or as much as a Hammond would, surprisingly. And Hammond would insanely help out his team by slamming the enemy down, make him go up in the air, easier targets to hit for his team. But Doomfist punches people around, makes it so people are actually harder to hit on Doomfist. Because as soon as you punch somebody as Doomfist, where's your team going to shoot that person? That person's going to go 10 miles away, not even be near, you know, your team. And or if they hit a wall, then yeah, sure. But if you're punching as Doomfist and punching somebody, they're going to go flying. Your team's not really going to be able to damage that person that's going flying, that's getting punched in the animation, you know? So it's kind of hard with Doomfist. Doomfist is more a tank that you go in, you try to get a kill really quick and then you get out, or you just try to do a bunch of damage and then get out. So I feel like Doomfist is definitely in the A tier. Same thing with his ultimate. His ultimate is very just himself. So he's not that good, but he's not as bad as Roadhog, Ramattra, and Orisa is. And all these heroes under him, he's not as bad as them. So I feel like he's in the middle, kind of like Sigma and Winston. And all right, let's get right on to the supports, the last hero. So patch notes. And also I didn't talk about the D.Va patch and all that, but I still feel like D.Va is still insane. Her projectile got reduced, but I still feel like she deserves an S class anyway. Roadhog damage reduction increased from 40 to 50%. I still feel like he's going to be in this spot. Zarya, primary fire damage increased from 85 to 95 damage per second. And primary fire maximum damage increased from 170 to 190 damage per second. I still feel like she's going to be pretty bad. That may bump her up a little tiny bit. I still feel like she's going to be not that good. People are going to experiment with her, but she may be a little bit better, but not that good. So let's move on right to the supports. So the supports, Lucio, S+. Let's be honest here. Lucio's insane now. Lucio can speed boost. I know we got a little patch saying the base projectile size reduced from 0.15 to 0.1 meters. Total projectile size is now 0.25 meters. A little bit worse for his gun. You know, his gun was really good. His sonic amplifier was really good at shredding people. But now his, you know, projectile size is reduced. But that's still fine. He still speed boosts around, still can speed boost his team into fights, especially when everybody's playing dive with like a Hammond and things like that. He's pretty insane. His Lucio beat is one of the strongest ultimates in the game for a healer, I would say, because everybody gets so much health and you basically win the round with Lucio. So I'll definitely have Lucio in S+ tier, even though I don't play him at all. I just seen a lot of Lucios around. And I feel like Lucio is a nuisance to have, is an insane hero to have on your team because he can save you a lot as well. Definitely with a good Lucio player, you will see how insane he is in this meta. Zen also S+ tier. Zen is insane. Zen did get a little knockback decrease. He can't do his snap kick as much. He got his knockback decrease by 25% and his base health decreased from 100 to 75. So that may move him down one more tier. I haven't played as much to even see an effect of that. I feel like he's still at S+ tier even with that nerf to him. It may move him down to an S tier, you know, but he's still in this range right here because his damage orbs are insane. You put a damage orb on somebody, they can do tons of damage, especially with that health passive where if you get damage, you don't get healed as much. So definitely having a Zen on your team is pretty insane with his damage orbs and placing on like a tank or DPS and they'll literally get shredded. So he's still in this range of S+ to S tier, even with that nerf to him. Anna, I feel like Anna is not that good anymore and she belongs in the B tier. I feel like she just not that good. She doesn't do that much. Her sleeps are pretty good still, of course. Her anti-nade is alright, but I feel like she doesn't do that much healing anymore because of that passive health reduction when you get damaged. So I feel like she definitely belongs in the B tier. In her nano, it's alright. It's not that good. Moira, I feel like Moira stays in the A tier, you know, right in the middle. She's an A. She's not that bad. She's not that good, but she still has a long survivability rate. She's pretty insane at that, and that's why a lot of people pick her, because she can survive a lot, do some decent amount of damage, and also heal at the same time, especially with her ultimate. So I feel like she's definitely in the A tier, especially with everybody having a lot more HP. She can survive a lot longer, so she's definitely in the A. Brig, same thing as Moira. She does decent amount of damage, has her bash, has her ultimate that can help her team as well. She has her health packs too. So as long as people play dive a lot more, then she's in a pretty good spot to counter the dive, of course. Pretty good brawler. Baptiste in the same thing. I feel like he's in the middle as well. He has his gun. He has the window ability, which, you know, do more damage through his ultimate ability, which is the window. That's really good. He's not as bad as Ana, I will say, and he's not as good as Zen and Lucio. I feel like he's in the straight middle. Same thing as Brig, same thing as Moore. You can pick any of these heroes for support if you did want to play them, and you'll do pretty good. For your team and the enemy team will take a decent amount of damage from Baptiste. He's pretty good at healing as well, so definitely put him in the A tier. Now Illari. Illari did get some changes here. It looks like she got some buffs, so she got her cooldown decreased from 8 to 6 seconds. Her cooldown when destroyed by enemies decreased from 15 to 12 seconds. So that's pretty good for a healing pylon. This is all for a healing pylon. So, and then her ultimate Sunstruck explosion damage increased from 100 to 160. Sunstruck explosion now has damage fall off again, reducing damage by up to 25%. You know, she got a little bit of buff. I feel like she's not the worst hero now. I feel like with those buffs in mind, with that little bit of buff in mind, she's a C character. She's not the best. She's not like better than Ana in my opinion. She's not better than these supports. Definitely not better than Lucio and Zen. Bumped her up a little tiny bit with these little tiny bit of buffs. These buffs actually are going to make a difference with her, just a little tiny bit, a little better. These pylon buffs weren't here, and this little Sunstruck explosion damage increased from 100 to 160. If that wasn't there at all, she would definitely be in the D tier. She's, you know, not good anymore. She's in the C tier now. I feel like she's going to be in the C tier just because of that explosion buff. So next is Mercy. Mercy is pretty insane, and I feel like she's in the A tier. A lot of people would say, no, put her in the B tier, put her in the C tier, put her in the D tier. She's not good, but I feel like she's good. I feel like she's kind of slept on. I feel like she's on par with Baptiste and Moira and Brig. A lot of people will say that she's not, but she's got damage boost, man. You use that damage boost real well, and you stick on that damage boost, you can shred if you have a good DPS partner. I'm talking about winning games here. I'm talking about damage boosting your DPS, winning the game there. She's really good. She can get out of sticky situations by flying around, especially if you have a good Mercy player on your team. She can definitely get out of hard situations. She can fly around and stay alive a lot. People will focus her a lot, but if you have a good Mercy in your team, she's definitely on par with Baptiste, Brig, and Moira, and I'm gonna stick to that. A lot of people will say that she's not like that. She deserves it. I feel like she's underrated, and she definitely stays right there in the A tier. I was gonna put her in DB tier, but I started thinking, no, I think she's a little bit more better than Ana, so she's definitely here. Lifeweaver. Now Lifeweaver definitely belongs with Illari in my opinion. He does have that pull. He does have the tree ability to make everybody else stay alive. But in my opinion, I feel like he's not that good. He's really not that good. He's not as bad like a Reinhardt and a Junkrat would be, even though they're different classes. You know, he's not as bad to get into the D tier. Pretty bad for support. All he really has is the pull and the flower petal. That doesn't do that much. It, you know, helps you get into different spots, helps save his teammates a little bit. But other than that, his ultimate ability is all right, but the tree can get destroyed so fast now. I definitely put him in the C tier. He's not that good like Illari. He's just not that good. And now last but not least, we have Kiriko, the last hero. A lot of people are going to say, why would you put her there? It is what it is. But I feel like, in my opinion, Kiriko is an S pick. I'm sorry. A lot of people will say, why would you put her in S? A lot of people will say, my opinion on a lot of these heroes are not right. Let's be honest here. But in my opinion, for the first time of me doing a tier maker, I feel like Kiriko would definitely be in the S tier just because of how she plays, how she can get out of certain situations with her TP. She's not as good as Zen and not as good as Lucio, I will say. Kiriko, as having a Suzu on her and having that ability, it's pretty insane. She can Suzu her teammates a ton. She can make them stay alive, and then she can get out of there with her TP if she's in trouble. Also, she can run down anybody. She can go and run down Tracers. She can go and run down Hanzo's DPS with her blades. Her blades are insane. She does a ton of damage, and then she can get out of there as long as you're really good with her. And her Kasune rush is insane, where everybody just gets, you know, way better shooting speed and all of that, of course, and ability cooldowns and blah blah blah. So I feel like she definitely deserves a S tier. A lot of people would put her in the A tier, maybe in the middle, but in my opinion, I think she deserves a S tier. I think she's really good for healers and supports. Oof, that was a long one. This is a decent tier list for me for being the first ever time making a tier list, so don't judge that hard on me. But I feel like these heroes in the positions that I put them at are in a really good spot in my opinion. You know, Widow, S tier. You know, a lot of people will disagree on that, but I feel like she deserves an S tier because of her pick rate. Same thing with Diva. Same thing with Hanzo being the S plus tier. People say, wow, Hanzo is S plus tier. Why is Hanzo so good? In my opinion, I feel like he's really good if you can be really good with him. And this is all opinion based. You have to understand that this tier list is going to be all opinion based, be based on the player. You know, this is based on me, in my opinion, of what I would think could be good in games if it's a really good player. If it's not that much of a good player, then of course the tier list is going to change. It's all based on each player's skill, and that's why not one tier list is better than the other tier list or any other YouTuber's tier list. So there you guys go. That was my tier list for Overwatch 2. Everybody's going to have different opinions about every hero in the game, of course, and where they belong in the tier. This is what I think is good in this meta at the moment. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and also hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. You can always hit that bell icon as well to get notified when I do upload a brand new YouTube video. Have a great day and or night, and leave a comment of what your guys' tier list would be or what you guys would change about this tier list. Let me know what you guys would change about this tier list and what you think in your opinion. So yeah, have a great day and or night, and peace.